My name is Bintu, and in this lecture of Android, we learn how to do authentication of a user. We always want that a user which has a valid email and password can only access our app, right? So how to store the email address and password of a user of our app? Either we can store it on a local database, we can create a database through SQLite, or we can do what, that the user's email and address we can store it on the backend database server through using our MySQL or SQL server or whatever database. But in this lecture we'll be using the Firebase. Firebase is a very nice platform provided by Google which gets you a cloud-based storage. You can use the Firebase to store the user's email address and password. You can use it to authenticate him, as well as you can send notification and many other things. So we'll learn in this lecture how to create sign up form. That is, we'll ask the user to enter email address and password, and that data will be stored into the Firebase platform. In the next lecture we'll learn how to authenticate the user, that is the sign in form. The email and address which is stored in this lecture, we'll see how the user enters it and logs into our app. So let us start. So we'll be learning to create such an authentication form, and if the user clicks on the sign up button, see, without entering email address or password, the moment user clicks on sign up button, validation is applied to both the boxes and you get a message that email address or password is not provided. If you enter the invalid email address or password, like I'm not including the @ sign here, bintu@gmail.com, @ sign is not provided and password is say anything, right? And I click on sign up. See, sign up failed because this is invalid email address. And if you click on bintu@gmail.com and supply any password and click on sign up, you get this message, sign up successful, email address and password is created. And here in Firebase, you will find the new email and address. This is my Firebase console. You can see it here. See, bintu@mail.com. It has to be a valid email ID, right? This is the code for that. I'll make you understand every statement in detail. So watch the video up till the end. Let's start. So the first step is that we have to launch the Android Studio. So this is my Android Studio. I'm starting with a new Android Studio project. I'm clicking here. I'll select the empty activity. Next. It is asking me the name of the project. Let's give the name as, say, Authentication App. Okay. This is the package name which includes my name in between so that it becomes a unique package name. The package name has to be unique so that the application should not collide with any existing application on the Play Store. The language that I am using is Kotlin, and this is the minimum SDK by default, API 19. Let it be. So I'm selecting Finish button. Okay, the first step is to connect my project with the Firebase, right? So we'll click on Tools menu. In the Tools menu, you select this Firebase option. Because we are creating a sign up application, it is related to authentication. So I'll select this authentication option. Here you can see that email and password authentication link. Click on it. This option, email and password authentication, opens up. It shows you several steps to follow. First is to connect your app to the Firebase. Click on this button, connect to the Firebase. It has opened the Internet Explorer browser and it is navigating to this site, console.firebase.google.com. Here you will find this option, add a project. Click on it. We have basically connected our Android app with this Firebase project. Our Android app name has automatically come. See, authentication app. Click on continue. It is telling you that automatically the Google Analytics will be added to your project. Google Analytics helps a lot in understanding the success of our app, how much is the traffic going on. We can understand the behavior of the user visiting our application. So let the Google Analytics be added to our project. Click on continue. This is the app name and we have to accept the terms and conditions of using the Google Analytics. Click on create project. Your new project is ready. This message has appeared. Click on continue. So your application name is included here. That means
your Android application authentication app is connected to the Firebase. Your Firebase Android app has been created in Firebase. So you have one module, one space created for your Android app on the Firebase, where all the users and every details of the users will be kept. Click on connect. Your Android Studio project is connected to your Firebase Android app. So it's done. And on the Android Studio will go, see, it is showing that this is connected. So next option is to add Firebase authentication to your app. Let's click here. You know why it is asking you? Because for using Firebase into your Android app, there are certain dependencies to be added to your build.gradle project. This is the class path has to be added, and these are the dependencies to be added in the build.gradle module, right? So here one class path has to be added, and here the two dependencies has to be added, right? The moment I click on this accept changes, these three things, that is this class path will be added to the build.gradle project level, and these two dependencies, this is your plugin that will be added to your build.gradle app module, and this dependency, that implementation will be added automatically the moment I click on this accept changes. So let us click on this. After adding, automatically the Gradle project sync has started. So my project will be in sync. My Gradle will be synced also after making the changes in the build.gradle files. That is done. Can you see the message? Gradle sync is finished. So your dependencies have been added. Let's check it up. See, this is added here, and here also this is added. See, Firebase authentication. Dependencies set up correctly. This right sign also confirms that the dependencies are automatically perfectly added to my Android project. And also it is asking you to go to Firebase Console and authenticate your email and password. Let's do one thing. Click on this Firebase Console. This Internet Explorer is opened up. Click on your project name. There's so many things you can do. You can use Cloud Firestore. You can do Crashlytics performance. You can check messaging. You can do. You can also do testing and many other things. I'll click on this authentication. Authenticated many users from a variety of providers. That means user can even authenticate from its existing Twitter account, Facebook account, Google, and whatever. I click here on this email and password. See here, I'll enable this email password so that user can create his own email and password. Click on save. There are so many things. See, a user can use its existing Yahoo ID, GitHub ID, and all to authenticate in your app. So I just enabled this email and password so that user can create the email and password into the Firebase through my app. I'll go back to this thing. After this, I'm asked to add this coding to it, and here is my code. Before this, I have to create layout screen. This is my activity_main layout file. Let's minimize this. Here, by default, you get this text view control. This one. This is the text view control you get by default in this activity_main.layout file. You see, in this layout file, what I'll be doing, I'll be requiring two edit boxes. One for entering email address, another is for entering password. Third is component I require is a button. On clicking the button, the sign up process will be initiated. And if the sign up is successful through this text view control, which is provided to me by default, I will display a message to the user that the sign up was successful or the sign up was a failure, right? So I'll be requiring this text view control. I need 3 more controls. So let's do one thing. This is my mobile screen. I'll do what? I'll click on this text palette, click this edit text component here, drag and drop. And for password, I'll be requiring this password component, and I'll be requiring button also. So click on button palette, click this button here and drop it over here. So you got 4 components, but the constants are not been set. So I'll do what? I'll click this edit text control. I hope you can see that. Okay. And I need to set the constraints of this edit text control. So I click this node and drag it to the top border of the layout screen. And here, this is my constraints widgets. The distance from the top border of the layout, I want 40 SIP. See, can you see the distance created? And to make it center aligned, I'll click here and drag it to the left border of the layout screen. Again, I'll drag this right node to the right border of the layout screen. And the distance from the left and right border of the layout, I'll make it 0. Because this component is stretched equally from both the borders, so it will appear at the center of the layout screen. This edit control is done. Now this is password box. I have to set its constant in relation to this edit text. So I'll click this and drag it over here. It is asking me that the constant, that is the distance of this password, you want with the top border of edit text box or you want with the bottom border of the edit text box. I'll click on this bottom. It is asking how much distance you want from the bottom border of the edit text box. I want only 20 SIP. To make it center line, I'll drag it to the left border and I'll drag it to the right border. So it will be center line. So all the three constants are set. You can see it here, right? Now I have to set the constant for this button. I click here on this button, drag it and drop it over here. Again, it will ask that you want the constant, that is distance of this button from the bottom border of this password or with the top border of the password box. I'll select the bottom border and equally distance. I'll keep it at the 20 SIP distance from the password box. And to make it center line, I'll click and drag it here to the left border and I'll click it and drag it here to the right border to make it at the center line. And for this, I have these 4 constants by default: top, bottom and left, right. This top constant I don't want. So here you can see the cross here. I'll click here. So the top constant is deleted. And because only the bottom constant is there, you'll find this text view which is attracted to the bottom of the screen. See, I'll show you here. See, can you see it here? So I'll delete this bottom constant also. Now it is free. It is not being attracted to neither the top border nor the bottom border of the layout screen. Now to set its top constant with the button, I'll click this node and drop it over the button. I want the distance from the bottom of the button. How much? I want 40 SIP. I don't want the bottom constant of this text view control, and left and right constants are there at the 0 gap from the left and right border, so it will appear at the center of the mobile screen, right? Okay, now I'll select all the 4 components, see, and I'll set its size to, I'll make them visible, right? So I'll set the size to 30 SP. They are now visible, a bit visible. The idea of this edit text is edit text control. See here, can you see that? Edit text. I'll make it edit text email. It's asking that this name edit text has to be replaced by edit text email throughout the project. I select yes button. Similarly, I'll change the ID of this password, right? The name of this password box is edit text 2. I'll make it edit text password. Again, it is asking whether shall I make the changes throughout the project? Yes. The name of this button is button. I'll make it button sign up. Again, yes. And the name of this text view, I'll make it text view response, because through this I'll get the response whether the sign up was successful or not. Enter key. So it's done. Next, I don't want this name to appear in this edit text box. I'll delete this name. Enter key. After selecting it, I'll press the del key to delete it and press enter key, right? So it's done. Now to guide the user that email address has to be entered into it, I'll go into the hint property and I'll write email ID. So the hint will appear here. The hint will automatically disappear the moment user starts entering the email ID, right? So hint is just to guide the user. Here also in this password, I'll write the hint as password. For deleting, I selected it and pressed del key and then I have to press enter key, right? Similarly, for entering a hint, I have to write the text and I have to press enter key. So password has come as a hint here. And this button text I don't require. I write sign up as the caption of this button. And this text I don't want. I want this text to appear through the coding, whether the sign up was successful or not. So I'll click and delete key and press enter key. So it's gone. So this layout is ready, right? Now the time has come to write the code, and this is the code for that. The first step is to create a variable for Firebase authentication. So I'll copy this. I'll go to Android Studio in main activity file. Here, I'll copy this. So this auth is a variable Kotlin variable, which is the object of Firebase auth, right? And after creating this variable has to be initialized. So this is for initializing the auth variable. It is through this I'll be accessing the authentication modules of the Firebase. It is giving you an error that I am not able to understand this. So when you hover on this keyword, it is asking you to import a library. Click on import. This library is included here. See, it has become black. That means the error is gone. On here also it is giving you an error, Firebase. We'll see to it why this error has come. And now this is the code for the button, sign up button. Now see, listen. Button sign up set on click listener. See, this click is a event. And what you're doing that you are adding a listener to this click event. That is, you are handling a click event that if anybody clicks on this button, execute this code from here till here, right? So what is these two lines for? See, while you are entering email address and password, the virtual keyboard of the mobile appears through which you enter the email address and password. Now, after entering email address and password, when you click on button, either the sign up will be successful or it will be a failure, and the message has to come through the text view control, and the text view component is hidden behind the virtual keyboard. So you can't see the message whether the sign up was successful or it was a failure. So these two lines are for hiding the virtual keyboard, right? So what you are doing, you are defining a Kotlin variable input method manager, which is an object of input method manager class, and you're invoking this method get system service, and you're passing this context.input method underscore service as an attribute. This input method service attribute, when passed through this context means this one in this activity. So on invoking this get system service and passing this input method service attribute, you are pointing to the virtual keyboard of the mobile phone. And now this input method manager variable is pointing to it. And what you're doing, you are invoking the hide soft input from window method through this object. And this hide soft input from window will hide that virtual keyboard where the focus is right now. So these lines is just to make the text view component which is hidden behind the virtual keyboard to become visible, right? Now what you're doing here, it might happen that the user might click the sign up button without entering email and password, or the user might skip entering the password or email. So what you're doing that you are accessing the text which is entered in the edit text email box. You are accessing the text, converting to string. The toString is to typecast the object. The data that is entered in the edit text box is in the object format. So by toString you are typecasting, you are converting that object into a string, and this is null or empty method returns true if the text is null or nothing is being entered in the edit text box. So you are checking if the email address is null or the password is null. This is a logical OR operator. So what you are doing that you are checking if either of the box, if the email address or the password is empty, what you are doing, you are displaying the message that email address or password is not providing through the text view response, that is through the text view component. And if both are provided, this else block will be executed from here till end, right? And what you're doing here, this is the auth object you created of the Firebase class. What you're doing that the create user with email and password method is being invoked, and you are passing the email address and password which was entered by the user in the edit text boxes, the two edit text boxes that we created in the layout window, right? And obviously what you're doing that you are accessing the text and converting it into the string format. So both the email address and password are accessed from their respective boxes, typecasted to string, and are passed to this create user with email and password method. And on this method you are invoking this add-on complete listener. That is, if the task is complete, either the task will be successful or the task will be a failure. If the task is successful, that is, if the create user with email and password method is successfully invoked, what you're doing, you're displaying the method that sign up successful email and password is created. This will be displayed through the text view component, and if it is not, you get the message sign up failed. And if it is successful, you are accessing the current user from the auth object and assigning it to the variable user, which I'll be using in the next lecture just to welcome the user. So If the sign up is successful, you are initializing this user variable and you are invoking this update UI method. Update UI method is doing nothing. This one, it is doing simply nothing right now. But in the next lecture, where I'll be using it to sign in, see, at the moment I'm just asking the user to create email and password. In the next lecture, I'll be asking the user to authenticate, to enter the email and password and check whether the email and password are correctly entered or not, right? And if it is entered correctly, I have to welcome the user. So I'll be using this current user variable at that time, right? So at the moment I don't require it. So we'll copy this on-click listener from here till this, and I'll paste it into the Android Studio here. Press Ctrl V to paste it here. It has come. And this is the function of onCreate, and here I'll copy this update UI method. I'll press Ctrl V here. Right. It is giving you the error on most of the components that we define in the layout window. It's so because the layout window is not specified here. So this is the line to import the layout file. See, most of the error will go. See, all have become black, and here it is giving you some error on input method manager. So when you hover it over here, it is asking you to import. Click on import. Again, if you hover on context, it is asking you to import. Why it is giving you an error here? Because one dependency is missing here. See here. Here the two dependencies are missing. These two. The two dependencies are Firebase Analytics and Firebase Auth. I don't require this auth because this is auth with the Kotlin. So I'll be requiring this, and obviously I have to sync it. So I have to click on the sync now button. Sync is over. I'll go to main activity. Here I'll press Alt Enter. See, it's included. Firebase is included. On the auth also I have to click on import. See, the library of auth is included. So my project is almost ready. One thing more. Your AVD should be based on Play Console. If it is not, your output will never come. What I mean to say, go to AVD Manager. Here, can you see this Play Store? Your AVD, your virtual device should support this Play Store. If it is not, click on Create Virtual Device. See, can you see that? Pixel 3a, it supports Play Store. Pixel 3, Pixel. So this is what I did. I clicked on this Pixel 2, it is supporting this Play Store. Clicked on Next. Select any of the images. I have selected this R image. Click on Next button. Give any AVD name and click on Finish. At the moment I'll click on Cancel because I have already this AVD, and it is giving you an error here. Firebase user. Click on Import here also. So all error are gone. Click on Run button to run the app. Okay, so my app is running. It is asking for the email address and password. Suppose if I enter, say, Harwani gmail.com, for example, and I leave this password blank. Click on sign up. See what happens. This is a virtual keyboard, right? See, this virtual keyboard is made invisible to display this text view component. If these two lines are not included in your code, this text view won't be visible. It will be hidden behind the virtual keyboard. So right now what it is saying that email address or password is not provided. Okay. So I provide the password also. Say password as say diamond1234. Right. But the email is wrong. Can you see it? There is no @ sign here. Right. So click on sign up. See what happens. Sign up failed. But if I include this @ here. So my email ID is harwani@gmail.com and password is diamond1234. Right. Click on sign up. Sign up successful. Email and password created. Okay. So let's go to console. Here. Click on users. See, harwani@gmail.com is created. So my app is working perfectly well. Right. If you followed this lecture, please subscribe to my channel. Write comments. Share the videos with your friends. Thanks for watching the video. Have a nice day.